My child, I know the ache you have been carrying in silence. I know what it feels like to wake up with a heaviness in your chest and a question in your heart that you do not even say out loud anymore. Why did they leave me? Why did they betray me? Why does it feel like I keep getting overlooked while everyone else seems to move forward? I know the sting of being misunderstood by the people you trusted most. I know the lonely nights when you replay the conversation, the message, the look in their eyes, the moment everything changed, and you still cannot make sense of it. You have wondered if you did something wrong. You have wondered if I forgot your name. You have wondered if the pain will always stay this close. Beloved, I am not far from you. I have seen every tear you swallowed. I have heard every prayer you whispered when no one was there to comfort you. I have watched you sit in the dark, staring at your phone, hoping for a call that never came. I have watched you put on a brave face while your heart was breaking in places no one else could see. And I say to you now, I did not miss one moment of it. I was there when the betrayal cut deep. I was there when the lie spread. I was there when the friend you defended turned and used your kindness against you. I was there when the family member dismissed your pain as if it meant nothing. I was there when you started to question whether your own discernment could be trusted. I saw it all. And because the wound ran so deep, you started looking everywhere for relief except in the place where healing truly begins. You reached for answers the world was offering. You told yourself maybe if you said the right words, if you thought positively enough, if you aligned your energy, if you manifested hard enough, if you followed the signs, then the ache would finally stop. You searched for meaning in numbers, in social media posts, in random phrases, in people's opinions, in anything that felt like a clue. You wanted a pattern because pain that does not make sense feels unbearable. You wanted control because uncertainty can make a soul feel like it is drowning. My child, I understand why you did it. When your heart has been bruised, you will try almost anything to feel safe again. You will chase anything that promises quick peace. You will ask the sky for a sign, then ask for another one because the first did not satisfy your fear. You will try to decode every delay and every closed door, hoping there is a secret formula you just have not found yet. But listen to me carefully. The truth you have been running from is not hidden because I am cruel. It is hidden because I have been protecting you while I expose what was never built on truth in the first place. There are things happening around you right now that you do not fully see yet. There are conversations you were not invited into. There are motives you did not know were operating behind the scenes. There are false coverings being lifted, one by one. And the very people who assumed they could keep their hidden intentions buried are finding that what was done in darkness cannot stay buried forever. I am the God who brings secrets into the light. I am the one who separates what is real from what is performative, what is holy from what is hollow, what is of me from what merely looked convincing for a season. Beloved, you thought the silence meant nothing was happening. You thought because you were not seeing immediate vindication, I had stepped back. But my silence is never absence. My silence is often the place where I am working deeper than your eyes can follow. While you were trying to force clarity, I was preparing exposure. While you were trying to hold together what was already breaking, I was setting a line between what is true and what is false. While you were begging me to explain why they treated you that way, I was letting their own choices reveal who they really are. You need to hear this now. Not everything that confused you was meant to be solved by more effort from you. Some of what broke your heart was never going to be healed by getting them to finally admit the truth. You kept thinking that if they would just tell you why, if they would just apologize, if they would just acknowledge what they did, then the pain would settle. But there are wounds that only heal when you stop asking a liar to become your source of truth. There are moments when freedom begins the second you release the need for their confession and place the matter in my hands. I know how badly you wanted closure. I know how long you held on, hoping they would come clean. I know how many times you gave them the benefit of the doubt, even when your spirit was uneasy. You kept saying, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm imagining the distance. But I tell you, my child, your uneasiness was not your enemy. Your discernment was trying to speak before your emotions could fully understand what was happening. You were picking up on what others could not yet see. You were sensing the fracture before it became visible to everyone else. And now the truth is coming out. Not because your enemies decided to be honest. Not because the people who played a part in your pain suddenly found a conscience. The truth is being exposed because I am the one who reveals. I do not leave hidden things hidden forever. I do. Not allow deception to build a throne over your life indefinitely. There comes a point where every mask starts to slip. Every false story starts to unravel. Every double motive starts to show its seams. And when that happens, my child, do not be shocked. Do not let the exposure confuse you. What is being revealed was already present. You are simply seeing it clearly now. You have been asking why certain relationships suddenly became cold, why certain opportunities dried up, why doors that looked promising stalled, why people who once praised you now seem threatened by you, why the atmosphere shifted when you started getting closer to me. Listen to me. Sometimes the resistance you feel is not random. Sometimes it is the sound of hidden opposition reacting to your obedience. Sometimes the warfare intensifies when you begin to walk in truth because darkness hates being exposed. It cannot stand the light. It cannot stand integrity. It cannot stand a life that is anchored in me instead of fear. Beloved, some of the most painful betrayals in your life did not happen because you were worthless. They happened because you were valuable, visible, and vulnerable. Your openness made you easy to trust, and some people mistook your kindness for weakness. They saw your grace and assumed it could be exploited. They saw your loyalty and assumed it would never run out. They saw the purity of your intentions and thought they could bend your trust without consequence. But I saw the whole thing, and I am telling you now that what they meant for harm will not have the final word over you. There is a reason this season has felt so strange. It is because I have been stripping away illusions. I have been removing what was propped up by image, fear, convenience, and compromise. I have been allowing certain things to unravel so that you would stop building your peace on what cannot hold your destiny. Some of the confusion you have been through was a mercy, even if it did not feel like one. I let you see enough to know something was wrong. I let you feel the shift so you would stop calling dead things alive. I let the truth press against your spirit so you would finally come back to me instead of continuing to chase reassurance from sources that could not save you. My child, hear me with tenderness and with seriousness. I know you have been tempted to interpret your life by signs, patterns, and vibes because you wanted certainty without surrender. But my ways are not revealed through panic. My guidance is not the product of desperation. I am not a magic answer to soothe fear for a moment. I am the Lord over what you cannot trace. I am the shepherd who leads even when the path is hidden. I am the one who knows the end from the beginning, and I do not need your frantic striving to accomplish what I have already spoken. You have spent too long living like everything depends on your ability to piece together the mystery. You have been exhausted by trying to make sense of every delay. You have been drained by trying to read every room, every text, every tone, every silence. But what if I told you that some of what you thought was rejection was actually protection? What if I told you that some closed doors were my mercy? What if I told you that some people did not leave because you failed, but because their season to stand near you was ending, and I would not let them stay long enough to derail what I am building in your life? Beloved, I am exposing not only what they did, but also what you believed about yourself because of what they did. That is where the deeper healing begins. They spoke over you long enough that part of you started agreeing with the lie. They ignored you long enough that you started feeling invisible. They twisted the story long enough that you wondered if your truth even mattered. But I say to you, you are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not too damaged. You are not too far gone. You are not the sum of what they said about you. You are not defined by the betrayal. You are not the label they handed you in private when your back was turned. There are some of you hearing this right now who have been carrying a private shame that has nothing to do with your actual worth and everything to do with the cruelty of what was done to you. You did not speak up sooner because you were trying to keep peace. You stayed longer than you should have because you hoped love would change them. You ignored warning signs because you wanted to believe the best. And now, with the benefit of hindsight, you keep blaming yourself. But my child, do not let guilt become another prison. Wisdom learned through pain is still wisdom. Discernment sharpened through sorrow is still a gift. I can redeem even the places where you once trusted too slowly or too much. That does not make you foolish. It makes you human. And I am a redeemer who knows how to restore what was taken in innocence. I am telling you the truth they have been running from is finally being exposed, and you will not have to force the unveiling. The hidden text messages, the secret agreements, the false narratives, the private jokes meant to discredit you, the behind-the-scenes alliances, the carefully edited version of events, the smiles that covered resentment, the The promises they never intended to keep, the accusations they made while pretending innocence. All of it is coming into view. Not all at once, and not always in the way you expected, but enough for you to recognize that your spirit was not lying. To you, after all, the pieces will begin to connect. The stories will begin to conflict. The facade will begin to crack. And when it does, you will see that I was telling the truth the entire time. Do not be afraid of what is being exposed. Exposure is not only judgment, it is also liberation. It is the mercy of God interrupting a lie before it can shape your future. Some revelations will hurt before they heal. Some truths will make you grieve what you thought you had. Some exposures will force you to accept that certain people never met you with the honesty you gave them. But even then, my child, I am with you. I do not reveal to shame you. I reveal to save you. I expose what is poisonous so you do not keep drinking from it. I uncover what is false so you stop building a life around a deception. You have been asking me why justice seems delayed. You have wondered why the ones who hurt you still seem comfortable while you carry the weight of what happened. Beloved, I have not missed their deeds. I am not indifferent. I am patient. I am righteous. I am thorough. The world loves instant outcomes, but I work with eternal precision. When I move, I do not only address behavior. I address roots, motives, systems, and consequences. I let the truth mature until it can no longer be denied. And when it surfaces, it is undeniable. That is why the exposure you are stepping into will carry weight. It will not be a rumor. It will not be speculation. It will be undeniable enough to shake what was built on lies. My child, some of you have been trying to prepare your heart for the truth, but the truth has been preparing you. Every delay has been strengthening your spine. Every unanswered prayer has been teaching you to lean harder on me. Every disappointment has been separating what is essential from what is entertainment. Every betrayal has been showing you where your boundaries need to be restored. I know it felt like you were simply surviving, but I have been sanctifying your survival. I have been teaching you how to stand when the ground shifts. I have been teaching you how to discern voices, how to recognize fruit, how to wait without panicking, how to trust without losing yourself. You are not the same person you were when this started. That matters, because if I had exposed everything at the very beginning, you might not have had the strength to carry it. I know the exact moment to reveal, the exact measure to give, the exact timing that will serve your growth and not your destruction. That is why you must not despise the process. I have been protecting your mind even while your heart was under pressure. I have been keeping your future intact even while your present felt unstable. I have been guarding doors you could not see and closing pathways that would have cost you more than you realize. Beloved, there is a holy seriousness to this moment. The enemy would love for you to become cynical now. He would love for you to say, "See, I knew no one could be trusted," and then shut your heart completely. But that is not healing. That is a wound dressed as wisdom. I am not calling you to naivety, and I am not calling you to suspicion. I am calling you to discernment. There is a difference. Discernment lets truth lead. Suspicion lets fear lead. Discernment protects what is sacred. Suspicion poisons everything. Do not let one betrayal teach you to mistrust every person I send. Do not let one lie train you to doubt every promise. Let me heal your discernment so it becomes strong, clear, and peaceful. I know some of you have been asking whether the exposure will bring back what was lost. In some cases, no, my child. Not everything that is revealed is restored in the same form. Some things are exposed so they can be released. Some relationships are uncovered so you can finally let them go. Some places are revealed as unsafe so you stop returning there. Some truths arrive not to rebuild the old, but to make room for the new. That is not punishment. That is my kindness. I do not keep you bound to what cannot carry the future I have for you. And yet, hear me carefully, not all exposure is loss. Some of what is being uncovered will vindicate you. Some people will finally see what you endured. Some hidden supports will emerge. Some doors will open because the lie that blocked them will no longer stand. Some of you will discover that what looked like the end was actually the beginning of a cleaner path. You thought you were being buried, but I was planting you. You thought the delay was denial, but I was aligning timing. You thought they had the final say, but I was writing a better sentence over your life. My child, I need you to stop bargaining with what is already in my hands. Stop saying, "If only they had done this, if only I had known that, if only I had said more, if only I had stayed silent." The endless, if only, cannot heal you. It only keeps you living in a room I have already invited you to leave. I am calling you forward, not backward. Forward into clarity. Forward into peace. Forward into the kind of strength that does not depend on everyone understanding your story. Forward into the freedom of knowing that I saw it all, and I will deal with it righteously. There is a deep comfort in this, my beloved. You do not have to play investigator for the rest of your life. You do not have to become hardened just to survive. You do not have to. Keep your soul on high alert forever. I can give you rest without making you blind. I can give you peace without making you passive. I can make you wise without making you bitter. I can teach you how to stand in truth without shrinking into fear. So breathe. Yes, even now. Breathe, and let your body remember that you are not trapped in the moment you feared would define you. The truth is being exposed. The pressure is not pointless. The silence is not empty. The shaking is not the end. I am separating the real from the fake. I am uncovering what was hidden. I am answering prayers you prayed through tears. I am bringing to light what was done in darkness. And when you see it, you will understand why I asked you to wait. You will understand why certain doors stayed shut. You will understand why I kept saying, trust me, even when your heart wanted proof. Beloved, I am still here. I have never stopped moving on your behalf. I have never left you to carry this alone. And the truth that they feared would come out is already beginning to rise. When it does, do not let your heart fail. Let it confirm what I have been speaking all along. I saw the betrayal. I heard the lies. I counted the cost. And I am not finished yet. My child, I want to take you deeper now, because the exposure is not only about what they did. It is also about why they became vulnerable to the very traps that caught them. You have spent so much time focusing on the pain they caused that you have not always seen the fear underneath it, the pressure underneath it, the insecurity underneath it, the hunger to be seen, the desperation to survive. And I am not excusing what was done. I am uncovering it. There is a difference. I can tell the truth about their weakness without calling darkness light. I can show you how the snare worked without making the snare innocent. Some of them were afraid. They were afraid of losing status, afraid of being exposed themselves, afraid of not measuring up, afraid of not having enough. Fear makes people do things they never thought they would do. Fear tells a person to protect themselves at all costs. Fear whispers, take the shortcut, hide the truth, keep the image, save yourself. And once fear is in control, compromise starts to feel reasonable. It starts small. A little lie here, a silent omission there, a private justification no one else hears. Then, before long, the heart becomes used to surviving by deception instead of living by truth. You must understand this, my child, because it helps you discern the pattern, not just the person. The one who wounded you may have been trapped in fear long before you ever met them. They may have learned to perform instead of confess, to control instead of trust, to manipulate instead of wait. That does not make their actions less serious. It explains the fracture. And when you can see the fracture, you stop romanticizing what was never healthy to begin with. Some of them were under financial pressure. They felt the weight of bills, expectations, debt, ambition, and appearances. Money has a way of exposing what is in the heart. When a person is squeezed by pressure, whatever is inside comes out. For some, financial strain pushed them toward dishonesty. They cut corners. They overpromised. They used people. They accepted alliances they should have rejected. They sold peace for security and then called it wisdom. My child, do not be naive about this. Financial pressure can become a gate for spiritual compromise when a person does not anchor their heart in me. They begin to think survival justifies anything. But I am the God who feeds in famine, who provides in wilderness, who sustains in lack. If they had trusted me, they would not have needed to build a false foundation. And some of them were wounded by broken trust. They were betrayed before they betrayed. They were lied to, abandoned, overlooked, or humiliated, and instead of letting me heal them, they built walls around the wound. Then they started seeing every relationship through the lens of past pain. They said, I'll strike first before someone strikes me. I'll keep people close enough to use, but not close enough to know me. I'll never be the vulnerable one again. That kind of heart posture becomes dangerous very quickly. It turns pain into policy. It turns memory into a prison. It turns unresolved hurt into a strategy for life. Beloved, I have seen it all, and I can tell you that many of the people who harmed you were acting out of unhealed places they refused to surrender. And yes, Pride was there too. Pride always enters when a person thinks they can manage consequences, curate a story, and stay above correction. Pride says, I know better. I can handle this. I can bend the truth just this once. I can keep control if I stay ahead of the narrative. Pride hates accountability because accountability threatens the image. Pride wants the applause without the obedience. Pride wants the crown without the cross. Pride wants influence without integrity. And when pride takes root, a person starts believing their own disguise. My child, I am showing you these things so you will not mistake exposure for random humiliation. This is surgery. This is my hand separating what is diseased from what can be healed. I am not just naming their sin. I am teaching you how sin seduces. The enemy rarely arrives with a sword first. He often arrives with a reason, a wound, a need, a fear, a promise. He whispers to the pressured heart. He flatters the proud heart. He manipulates the fearful heart. He feeds the broken heart with counterfeit comfort. Then he watches deception spread. That is why I am bringing biblical truth alive to you now, because what you are walking through is not new. The same patterns have echoed through generations. And I am the same God yesterday, today, and forever. I did this for them, and I am doing it for you. Remember Job, my child. He was not being punished because he had done something evil. He was walking uprightly, and still the testing came. His world shook. His possessions were stripped. His health was attacked. His friends misunderstood him. His grief was public and deep. He sat in ashes while others tried to explain his pain with shallow theology and harsh assumptions. But I saw Job in the midst of it all. I knew the exact measure of what was allowed and what was not. I drew a line the enemy could not cross. And in the end, what Job did not understand in the middle became a testimony at the end. I restored him, not cheaply, not superficially, but with a blessing that made the accusation look foolish. Beloved, I did this for Job, and I am doing it for you. I know what is being lost, and I know what is being preserved. I know what was stripped, and I know what will be rebuilt. I know what friends failed to understand, and I know how I will vindicate the one who stayed faithful while suffering. If Job had interpreted his suffering only by the voices around him, he would have collapsed under their accusations. But he held on to me, even when he could not explain me. And that is where your strength is being forged now, not in explanation, in trust. Think also of Joseph, rejected by his brothers, sold by his own blood, falsely accused by the woman in Potiphar's house, forgotten in prison after serving faithfully. Joseph's life was a long chain of betrayals that looked, from the outside, like abandonment. But I was orchestrating something deeper. His dreams were not lies. His favor was not wasted. His suffering was not accidental. Every betrayal moved him closer to the place where I would place him to save lives. What looked like delay was development. What looked like loss was positioning. What looked like a buried calling was a preserved destiny. Beloved, I did this for Joseph, and I am doing it for you. Some of your heartbreak was a doorway into a wider purpose you could not have entered otherwise. I know that is hard to accept when your heart still aches, but I am telling you the pattern of heaven is not the pattern of man. Man sees imprisonment. I see preparation. Man sees rejection. I see redirection. Man sees a forgotten dream. I see a seed waiting for the appointed season to rise. Joseph could not have carried the palace if he had not first learned to carry betrayal without becoming bitter. That is why I am strengthening your heart now. I am making sure the pain does not make you lose the promise. And David, my child, remember David, chosen, anointed, but then hidden, anointed in one moment and running for his life in the next. He faced rejection in his own house, hunted by a king consumed with jealousy, misunderstood by those who should have protected him. There were caves, delays, betrayals, fear, and long seasons where the promise seemed to contradict the reality. Yet David kept returning to me. He kept pouring out his soul. He kept asking hard questions, but he never stopped bringing his heart to the throne. That is why I called him a man after my own heart. Not because he never wept, not because he never struggled, but because he kept coming back to me when everything around him felt unstable. Beloved, I did this for David, and I am doing it for you. I know some of you feel like you have been living in a cave emotionally, hiding from the very people who once praised you. I know what it feels like to be chosen and still treated as if you are expendable. I know the ache of being anointed and then overlooked. I know the pressure of being surrounded by people who project their own insecurity onto your calling. But David's cave was not his grave. It was his classroom. And yours is too. I am teaching you how to worship while waiting. I am teaching you how to stay soft without becoming naive. I am teaching you how to remain faithful when your name is being chased by accusation. And Moses, beloved, Moses knew what it meant to be hidden, then summoned. He spent years in obscurity, tending sheep in the wilderness, after a past he could not undo. He had failed before. He had fled before. He had made a costly mistake and thought perhaps his opportunity was over. But I met him in the burning bush, not when he was polished, but when he was finally ready to listen. I told him to take off his sandals because the ground was holy. I called him to confront Pharaoh, to lead a people who would resist, complain, and fear. He did not feel qualified. He did not feel eloquent. He did not feel prepared enough. But I did not need his perfection. I needed his obedience. Beloved, I did this for Moses, and I am doing it for you. Some of you think your past disqualifies you. Some of you believe your mistakes, your hesitation, your seasons of weakness have made you unusable. But I am not finished with you. I do not call the flawless. I refine the willing. I do not choose the self-congratulating. I choose the surrendered. Moses spent years thinking the chapter was over, but I was writing his next assignment in a place he could not see. That is what I am doing in your life right now. The hidden years were not empty. The hard years were not wasted. The delays were not denials. I have been preparing a path where there was no path before. My child, when you look at these stories, you begin to understand that exposure is not a sign that I am absent. It is a sign that I am active. Job's test revealed what could be trusted in suffering. Joseph's betrayal revealed what could survive the pit. David's wilderness revealed what could worship under pressure. Moses' hidden years revealed what could obey without applause. And your season, beloved, is revealing something too. It is revealing what has been built on sand, what has been built on fear, and what has been built on me. That is why I am not surprised by the trap they fell into. Fear is a trap. Financial pressure is a trap when it becomes Lord. Broken trust is a trap when it is left unhealed. Pride is a trap when it is protected instead of repented of. But I am also showing you that each trap can be broken when the heart turns back to me. The problem is not merely the pressure. The problem is what the person does under pressure. And the answer is not just self-awareness. The answer is surrender. There are some of you listening who are starting to see the same patterns in your own heart. You are not the one who betrayed others, but perhaps you know what it is to choose fear over faith. Perhaps you know what it is to hold tightly to money because you once lacked. Perhaps you know what it is to stay guarded because trust once broke you. Perhaps you know what it is to defend yourself too quickly because pride felt safer than vulnerability. I am speaking to you too, my child, because exposure is not only for them. It is for anyone who is willing to be made clean. I love you enough to tell you the truth about your own heart as well. Do not be ashamed if you recognize yourself in the patterns I am naming. Shame hides. Conviction heals. Shame says, you are bad. Conviction says, come closer, and let me change this. I am not telling you these things to condemn you. I am telling you because I want you free. I want you untangled from fear. I want you unhooked from the need to control outcomes. I want you to stop living as if your safety depends on your ability to predict the next betrayal. Your safety has always been in me. Beloved, this is why I keep bringing you back to trust. Not trust in people first. Trust in me first. When your foundation is stable in me, you can discern people without worshiping them or fearing them. You can love without losing your center. You can forgive without inviting chaos back in. You can release the outcome without losing your peace. That is what I am rebuilding in you. A heart that can see clearly because it is held securely. And yes, the truth is exposing itself in ways that feel uncomfortable. Some of you are watching events unfold and realizing that certain assumptions you held were incomplete. You did not know the whole story. You did not know the pressure they were under. You did not know how fear was steering their choices. You did not know how much pride had been feeding on their insecurity. That realization does not erase the pain, but it does keep pain from becoming poison. Because when you can see the forces at work, you can pray with wisdom instead of reacting with despair. I am teaching you to pray differently now. Not only, why did this happen, but also, Father, what do you want me to learn? What do you want me to release? And what do you want me to keep? Not only, expose them, but also, expose anything in me that still needs your light. That kind of prayer opens the door for healing on every level. It lets my light into places where fear has been rehearsing old stories for too long. Beloved, I know you are tired. I know some mornings you wake up already weary, as if your soul never really rested. But I have not brought you this far to leave you stranded in confusion. The same God who exposed deception in the houses of kings, in the tents of grieving men, in prison cells, in wilderness landscapes, and in the hearts of those I called still lives. I am still the revealer. I am still the protector. I am still the one who speaks when the time is right. And the time is right now for many hidden things to be made plain. Not to destroy you, but to free you. Not to humiliate you, but to redirect you. Not to confirm your worst fear, but to show you that I have been holding you through it all. Some of you will look back and realize that what you thought was random was actually orchestrated. The very things that almost made you collapse will become the evidence that I kept you. The pit did not swallow Joseph. The ashes did not consume Job. The cave did not cancel David. The desert did not erase Moses. And what has tried to consume you will not succeed either. So hold steady, my child. Keep your heart soft toward me, even if you must be firm toward what is false. Keep your eyes on me, even while the truth unfolds around you. Let the exposure do its holy work. Let it separate. Let it refine. Let it reveal. I am doing for you what I did for them, and I will be faithful to complete it. My child, come closer for a moment. I want you to feel the weight of this next truth, because I know how easy it is to listen with one part of your heart while another part is still bracing for impact. You have been living with so much pressure for so long that even hope can make you nervous now. I know that. I know the way you have learned to expect disappointment before you let yourself expect relief. I know the quiet tension in your shoulders when the phone rings late at night. I know how one email can make your stomach drop. I know how a doctor's pause can feel louder than the diagnosis itself. I know how a legal notice, a text from an ex, a sudden change at work, or a bill you cannot cover can make the whole day feel unstable. I know the ache of waking up and realizing nothing has changed yet. And I know the special kind of loneliness that comes when everybody around you seems to be moving on while you are still asking God what happened to your peace. Beloved, I am not overlooking any of it. Not the job loss that shook your identity. Not the divorce that split your heart in two. Not the illness that made your body feel unfamiliar. Not the betrayal from the person you trusted most. Not the sleepless nights where you stared at the ceiling and tried to make sense of everything you could not control. I have seen the way your mind circles the same questions over and over until exhaustion becomes its own language. I have seen the way tears come without warning, in the grocery store, in the shower, in the car after you finally start driving again. I have seen the way you keep functioning while secretly wondering how much longer you can keep holding it together. You may not say it aloud, but there are moments when you feel like life passed you by while you were trying to survive it. Others seem to have gotten the promotion, the healing, the relationship, the fresh start, the clean slate, and you are left holding memories you did not ask for and consequences you did not create. And if that pain has made you bitter at times, I understand why you are weary. But I am not condemning you for your weariness. I am speaking to it. I am reaching into it. I am telling you that I have not forgotten where you are. There are nights when the house is quiet and your thoughts are loud. Nights when you lie there replaying what you wish you had said. Nights when you wonder whether the silence from that person means they moved on or whether they are hiding. Nights when you pray the same prayer with less energy than the night before because your faith feels tired. Nights when the enemy tries to speak louder than I do, saying, "See, nothing changed. See, no one came. See, you are alone." My child, those are lies. They are old lies wearing new clothes, and they cannot define what I am doing. But there is something I need you to know before I say anything else. What looked like a delay was never punishment. What looked like a pause was not abandonment. What looked like me holding back was actually me holding you together. The reason it took longer than you wanted was because I was not only dealing with the surface event. I was preparing the environment, preparing the people, preparing your heart, and preparing the moment so that when I moved, the move would last. You wanted immediate relief. I was building lasting restoration. That is the turning point, my child. You thought I was late because you measured the season by your pain, but I was measuring it by your readiness. I was measuring it by the fruit, not just the feeling. I was measuring it by the weight of what would come next if I answered too soon. Some doors were not opening because if they had opened earlier, the burden would have crushed you. Some answers were not given because you were not yet strong enough to carry the whole truth. Some things had to mature in the unseen before they could be safely revealed in the open. I know that is hard to hear when you have been praying so desperately for change. I know you wanted the rescue before the breakdown. I know you wanted healing before the diagnosis settled in. I know you wanted the marriage restored before the papers were signed. I know you wanted the provision before the account went negative. I know you wanted the prodigal home before the loneliness deepened. But my child, I am not a God of panic. I am not a God who rushes just because fear is loud. I move with purpose. I move with wisdom. I move with complete knowledge of what every outcome will touch. There is a sacred purpose in waiting that you only understand after you have waited. The pressure was not because I forgot. The pressure was because I was doing a deeper work than you could see. I was preparing you to survive the answer without being destroyed by the process. Because sometimes the blessing itself is not the hardest part. Sometimes the hardest part is becoming the kind of person who can carry the blessing with humility, discernment, and gratitude. Beloved, this is why I let certain things feel stretched. I was lengthening your endurance. I was exposing what in you was still being ruled by fear. I was showing you how much your peace depended on other people's behavior. I was weaning your heart from the false comfort of control. I was teaching you that peace is not the same as certainty. Peace is the ability to rest in me when certainty is still unfolding. And yes, I know the humiliation of waiting in public. The job situation where people start asking questions you do not know how to answer. The family members who make suggestions that sting. The divorce that turns your home into paperwork and silence. The sickness that forces you to depend on others in ways you never expected. The betrayal that becomes a story people whisper about because they only know pieces of it. The financial pressure that keeps pressing your chest every time you open the mailbox. The grief that does not follow a tidy schedule. I know all of it. I know what it feels like to smile politely while your spirit is crying out for one real answer. So let me speak plainly. The delay was preparation. I was preparing the thing you were praying for, yes, but I was also preparing you to receive it without misreading it. If I had sent the breakthrough too early, you might have mistaken the provision for luck, the healing for coincidence, the reconciliation for your own effort, the door opening for your own strategy, the vindication for your own cleverness. I needed you to know, without question, that what is coming is mine. That is why the process had to press you until pride broke and dependence grew. That is why some of you had to come to the end of your own strength. I was not trying to humiliate you. I was making room for grace. My child, listen to me in the quiet between these words. When the room is still, can you feel it? The truth is, I have been preparing a stage for my faithfulness to be seen on. Not for applause, not for performance, but for testimony. The people who counted you out will not be able to explain how you are still standing. The ones who assumed your season was over will be confronted by the evidence that I am not done. The enemy thought delay would break your faith, but the delay became the ground where faith took root. You have asked me, why did I have to lose so much before I saw what was happening? And I need you to know that loss can be a teacher when it strips away false dependencies. The job loss showed you that your identity is not in a title. The relationship collapse showed you that love without truth cannot hold you. The sickness showed you that your body is not a machine. The betrayal showed you that not everyone close to you is covenant-minded. The sleepless nights showed you how much pain had been buried under routine. The waiting showed you what is really inside your heart when comfort is removed. I know those lessons hurt, but they are making you whole in ways comfort never could. There are people listening right now who have not even told anyone how bad it got. You kept functioning while your world was shaking. You went to work after crying all night. You made dinner after getting news you did not know how to process. You answered the phone with a cheerful voice while your hands were trembling. You sat in church and sang. Through tears. You kept going to appointments, meetings, family gatherings, and obligations, while inside you felt like one more thing would make you collapse. My child, I see that strength. I see the kind of endurance the world does not notice. And I tell you, that endurance was not accidental. I have been building a capacity in you that will hold what is coming. Because what is coming is not just relief. It is clarity. It is the turning of the page. It is the moment where things that seemed unrelated suddenly make sense. It is the kind of understanding that makes you sit back and say, so that's why. It is the kind of exposure that reveals the true shape of what was happening in the dark. And yes, some of it will grieve you, but it will also free you from self-blame. Beloved, this is important. You kept thinking the slowness meant I was hesitant. But I was never hesitant. I was aligning. I was positioning. I was protecting. I was allowing the hidden roots to surface so they could be dealt with properly. That is what you could not see. You saw the leaves and wondered why they were not falling faster. I was dealing with the root system. You saw one chapter and assumed the whole story was stalling. I was writing the next chapter with precision. Sometimes preparation looks like interruption. Sometimes preparation looks like loss. Sometimes preparation looks like silence. Sometimes preparation looks like a door closing with no explanation. Sometimes preparation looks like being overlooked in favor of someone less qualified. Sometimes preparation looks like being misunderstood by people who should have known better. Sometimes preparation looks like being forced to wait when every nerve in your body wants movement. But if you let me, I will show you that the waiting season was not empty. It was loaded with intention. I want you to think about Joseph again, not just the prison, but the pauses. There were years between the dream and the palace. Years between the promise and the position. Years where nothing on the outside looked like fulfillment. But every year mattered. Every betrayal refined him. Every false accusation prepared him for leadership with compassion and wisdom. By the time the door opened, Joseph could carry the responsibility because he had been prepared in the hidden places. He was not just rescued. He was ready. That is what I have been doing with you. Not just rescuing. Readying. Not just answering. Aligning. Not just removing pain. Forming maturity. And if you have felt at times that the process has been long enough to break you, I tell you again, it was not meant to break you. It was meant to separate what was temporary from what was eternal inside you. Now breathe again, my child. Slow down your racing thoughts. You do not have to solve everything tonight. You do not have to know how all the pieces fit in. This moment, I am not asking you to carry full understanding right now. I am asking you to trust that I can take what felt like waste and turn it into wisdom. I can take what felt like stolen years and make them the very years that prepared you for what is next. Some of you are thinking about the relationship that ended and still wondering if it was all for nothing. No, it was not for nothing. The pain was real, but it was not pointless. It revealed what needed to be healed in you and what could not be healed in them unless they surrendered to me. You cannot force transformation in someone who wants comfort more than truth. I know that hurts, but it is freedom to accept it. Some doors are not broken. They are mercifully sealed. Some of you are thinking about the job that disappeared and how unstable life feels now. I know the panic that can rise when a paycheck is gone and the future is unclear. But I am the provider, not the paycheck. I am the source, not the system. I can open a door that no resume alone could open. I can provide in ways you could not plan. I can move through channels you did not know existed. And I can make what seemed like a setback become the very setup for your next assignment. Some of you are thinking about the illness, the diagnosis, the symptoms that still linger, the appointments, the uncertainty, the prayers whispered over medication bottles and hospital beds. Beloved, I have not abandoned your body. I am with you in the waiting room. I am with you in the scans. I am with you in the treatments. I am with you in the fatigue. And I am also with you in the courage to keep showing up for the next step. Do not let fear tell you the story is over just because healing has not happened on your timeline. Some of you are thinking about the betrayal, and your heart still tightens when you remember it. You were not just hurt. You were shocked. The person you thought would protect you became part of the wound. That is why it cut so deep. But I am healing the place where trust was shattered. And I am not asking you to hand your discernment over to the same people who misused it. I am teaching you how to trust from wholeness instead of from hunger. My child, the reason this revelation feels so heavy is because it is touching more than the event. It is touching the story you told yourself about the event. It is touching the assumption that if you had been smarter, stronger, louder, quieter, more spiritual, more careful, more patient, then maybe none of it would have happened. But that story is not true. Not all suffering is a consequence of failure. Not all delays are proof of weakness. Not all betrayals mean you ignored the signs. Some pain simply happens in a fallen world where hearts are tested, motives are exposed, and humans make choices that wound others deeply. And I am still sovereign over all of it. Do you feel that, my child? I am asking you to let go of the fantasy that you could have controlled it all if only you had tried harder. That fantasy may have made you feel responsible, but it also kept you chained. Responsibility where there is actual responsibility is wise. Self-blame where there is only pain is not. Lay it down. Lay down the burden of being your own judge. Let me be the one who names the truth. I am nearing a turning point in this word, and I want you to stay with me. Something has shifted. You may not be able to see it yet, but you can feel it. The atmosphere around your life is not the same as it was before. The pressure that once felt like a closed fist is beginning to loosen. The confusion that dominated your mind is starting to lose its grip. The hidden things are being exposed, and the exposed things are making room for the prepared things. That is the secret you needed to hear before anything else. The waiting was not empty. The stillness was not failure. The delay was not denial. It was preparation. I was preparing you, preparing the answer, preparing the outcome, preparing the witnesses, preparing the timing, preparing the heart of the one who must receive truth, and preparing your own heart so that when the moment came, you would not collapse under its weight. I am the God who wastes nothing, and I am the God who never comes too late. So stay steady. Do not rush ahead of what I am unveiling. Do not let fear interpret the silence. Do not let disappointment rewrite your memory. I have been in this all along, and what felt like a delay was me building something you could not yet name. My child, I am bringing you into the last movement of this word, and I need you to receive it with a steady heart. Because the exposure is not only revealing what was hidden, it is also confirming what I have already spoken over you in secret. The lies are losing their power. The false coverings are coming off. The patterns you could not explain are beginning to make sense. And the promises you were tempted to bury are rising again with fresh life. What I say next may stir your spirit in a way you did not expect. There is something else happening beneath the surface that you have not fully noticed yet. The very ground you thought was unstable is becoming the place where I will establish you. The thing that felt like it had the power to ruin you is becoming the testimony that strengthens you. The place where you were wounded will not be your prison forever. In my hands, it will become evidence. Evidence that I heal. Evidence that I restore. Evidence that I do not abandon my own. Beloved, I know the world taught you to think that visibility equals value, but I do not work that way. I see the hidden life. I see the private obedience. I see the tears nobody applauds. I see the quiet prayers, the integrity when no one is watching, the forgiveness you gave while still bleeding, the times you chose not to retaliate, the times you laid your fear at my feet and asked me to carry what you could not. And I tell you this now, I am not ignoring that faithfulness. I am rewarding it in ways you have not yet imagined. I want you to hear my promises clearly, not as vague encouragement, but as living truth anchored in my word. I said that what the enemy meant for evil, I would use for good, and I mean that for you. I said that I would work all things together for good for those who love me and are called according to my purpose, and I am doing that even now. I said that no weapon formed against you would prosper, and I am telling you that the weapon may form, but it will not prevail. It will not have the final sentence. It will not carry the final authority. It will not outlast my hand over your life. Some of you have been walking through circumstances that looked like repeated attack. It may have felt like one thing after another, like the pressure would not stop, like every time you got your footing, something else shifted beneath you. But hear me, I am your rock. When everything else moves, I do not move. When your heart is overwhelmed, I lead you to the rock that is higher than you. When fear tries to tell you that you are surrounded, I remind you that I am the Lord of hosts, and my armies are not limited by what you can see. What looks like chaos to you is not chaos to me. I am governing outcomes you cannot yet trace. I know you have been waiting for vindication, and I tell you this. I see the injustice, and I will not let truth remain buried forever. As it is written, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, and nothing hidden that will not be made known. That is not a threat to you, beloved. That is comfort. It means the lie will not keep winning. It means the false story will not remain the story. It means that what was done in darkness will eventually stand under the light of my truth. And when that happens, you will not have to fight to prove what I have already seen. I am also promising you discernment in this season. You will not have to guess everything. I will sharpen your senses. I will teach you how to recognize what comes from me and what comes only to distract, drain, or deceive. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. That word is for you. Not for the perfect, not for the polished, not for the ones who always feel strong. For you. In your uncertainty, in your tears, in your questions, you will learn my voice again, and it will become steadier than the noise around you. And I am promising you peace that does not depend on circumstances. Not a shallow peace, not a temporary relief, not a momentary distraction, but the kind of peace that guards your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. That peace will stand watch over places fear has been invading. It will settle your nervous system. It will guard your thoughts when the enemy tries to replay the wound. It will keep you from returning to what I already delivered you from. You will begin to notice that the urge to panic lessens. The need to control weakens. The grip of anxiety softens. Not because life is suddenly simple, but because my presence is becoming more real to you than the threat. Beloved, I know your body has remembered stress even when your mind tries to move on. The tight jaw, the shallow breathing, the restless sleep, the sudden flinch when the phone buzzes, the exhaustion that feels deeper than physical tiredness. I am speaking healing over those places too. I formed your inward parts. I know how fear sits in your chest. I know how grief settles in the body. I know how long-term strain can make a person feel old before their time. And I am not only caring for your spirit. I am caring for the whole of you. I am restoring what pressure has tried to exhaust. Do not forget what I said through David. I restore your soul. That means I am not merely patching a wound. I am bringing life back to depleted places. I am restoring joy where heaviness sat too long. I am restoring hope where disappointment repeated itself. I am restoring courage where fear trained your reflexes. I am restoring confidence where rejection eroded it. I am restoring the ability to rest without guilt, to hope without superstition, to trust without fear of total ruin. I want to speak over the people who betrayed you, but not in a way that feeds bitterness. I want to speak truth and justice. I am not blind to the choices they made. I am not unaware of the lies, the manipulation, the hidden motives, the selective truths, the timing designed to confuse you, the words used to minimize what they did. But hear me. I am able to deal with them and heal you at the same time. You do not have to hate them to be free from them. You do not have to stay tied to their story to be released from their influence. Leave judgment in my hands. It is safer there than in your heart. There are some of you who have prayed for your enemies and then felt guilty because your emotions did not instantly match your prayers. I understand. Healing is often slower than conviction, but I honor the prayer of a heart that wants to be like me. So keep praying honestly. Keep bringing the pain to me. Keep asking me to cleanse your heart from resentment without pretending the wound never happened. I am gentle with the wounded. I do not demand performance from the brokenhearted. I call them close. And I am telling you that some of the things you feared would never change are already changing in places you cannot yet see. The person who seemed unreachable is encountering truth. The system that seemed immovable is being exposed. The opportunity that was blocked is being reconsidered. The path that looked dead is not dead to me. The door that looked sealed is not sealed to my authority. The timing that looked impossible is not impossible in my kingdom. You have been measuring by human clocks. I have been moving by divine appointment. My child, I want you to remember that I specialize in turning points. At the Red Sea, the people thought the end had come, but I made a way where there was no way. In the wilderness, they thought they would die of thirst, but I brought water from the rock. In the lion's den, Daniel seemed trapped, but I shut the mouths of lions. In the furnace, the three were not consumed, because I was there in the fire with them. That same presence is with you. I am not only the God who rescues before the fire. I am the God who enters the fire with you and brings you out without the smell of smoke. Some of you have been living as if the fire disqualifies you. It does not. It reveals me. It reveals what cannot be destroyed by pressure. It reveals the difference between what is fragile and what is formed by faith. And I am forming you in ways that will make your future stronger than your fear. You will not be defined by what happened to you. You will be defined by what I do through you after what happened to you. Beloved, I know you have questions about why certain people were allowed to have access to your life in the first place. Why did I let that friendship form? Why did I allow that relationship? Why did I let that workplace become so toxic? Why did I let that season stretch so long? I hear the questions. I also know the answer that matters most. I am sovereign, and I do not waste pain. Some people were allowed near you for a season that exposed your needs, your boundaries, your wounds, and your strengths. That does not mean they were righteous. It means I can work even through unrighteous choices to accomplish purification, protection, and redirection. I know that can be hard to receive when the cost was high, but I am not asking you to call pain good. I am asking you to trust that I am good. There is a difference. I am good even when the situation is not. I am good when the report is bad. I am good when the relationship ends. I am good when the contract falls through. I am good when the diagnosis is uncertain. I am good when the tears do not stop. I am good when the exposure hurts. My goodness is not canceled by your grief. Now let me speak promises over what comes next. I will give you wisdom, and I will give it generously without rebuke. When you ask, I will answer in ways that bring clarity, not confusion. I will show you which voices to trust, which doors to close, and which invitations are truly from me. I will give you courage to obey even when the next step feels uncomfortable. I will teach your hands to war in prayer and your heart to remain steady in the waiting. I will surround you with what is needed, not always what is flashy, but always what is faithful. I will also restore what was drained by months, perhaps years, of tension. The energy that left your body through worry will begin to return as rest. The joy that got buried under survival will come back. The confidence that was bruised by comparison will rise again. The giftings I placed inside you did not disappear. They were only pressed down by pain. I am bringing them back to the surface. You will sing again. You will laugh again. You will create again. You will build again. You will speak again. You will hope again. And I know you need me to be specific, so I will be specific. If you have been worried about provision, I am Jehovah Jireh, and I have not changed. If you have been worried about your mind, I am the one who gives peace that surpasses understanding, and I will guard you. If you have been worried about your children, your marriage, your home, your body, your future, I have not lost sight of any of it. I know the names, the faces, the situations, the deadlines, the fears that keep showing up, and I am not overwhelmed by any of them. You have also been asking whether the exposure will actually lead to anything. Yes, my child. It will lead to clarity. It will lead to separation where separation is needed. It will lead to correction where correction is possible. It will lead to restoration where hearts are willing. It will lead to new beginnings where old things have died. It will lead to freedom where secrecy once held power. It will lead to testimony where shame once ruled. It will lead to a deeper intimacy with me because you will know that I do not merely speak comfort. I speak truth, and truth sets you free. But there is still another thing I need you to understand before I place the final blessing over you. Not every delay was about the thing you were asking for. Some of it was about who you would become while waiting for the answer. You wanted relief? Yes, but I was after your rootedness. You wanted a way out? Yes, but I was after your maturity. You wanted the pain to stop? Yes, but I was teaching you how to remain whole even while pain was still present. That is why this season has felt so intense. It has been doing a work in you that comfort could never accomplish. So let the word settle in your spirit now. I did not forget you. I did not bypass you. I did not delay because I was indifferent. I delayed because I was preparing. And what I prepared will not shame you. It will strengthen you. What I prepared will not expose you to failure. It will expose the lies that try to shape your future. What I prepared will not crush your heart. It will heal it. You are not behind. You are being brought into timing that is wiser than your fear. Now, my beloved, I want to speak directly to your spirit in prayer. Receive these words as if I am standing very near, because I am. Father, in the name of Jesus, I bring this precious one before you with tenderness and truth. You know every hidden sorrow, every unspoken fear, every private disappointment, every place where betrayal has left a bruise that still aches when touched. You know the nights they have cried alone. You know the mornings they have risen with dread. You know the weight of responsibility, the burden of uncertainty, the strain of finances, the ache of divorce, the pain of rejection, the fear surrounding illness, the humiliation of being misunderstood, the exhaustion of trying to keep going when their soul feels tired. Father, I ask you to wrap them now in the assurance of your presence. Let them sense that they are not abandoned. Let the lie of isolation break off of them. Let the old voices that said they were forgotten, overlooked, or replaceable be silenced by your truth. Remind them that they are seen. Remind them that they are known. Remind them that they are held. Remind them that the shepherd does not lose even one sheep. Lord, give them wisdom from above. Let them not be guided by panic, impulse, confusion, or the pressure to please people. Teach them to hear your voice more clearly than the noise around them. Where there has been double-mindedness, bring steadiness. Where there has been fear of making the wrong decision, bring confidence in your leading. Where there has been spiritual fog, bring clarity. Where there has been emotional overload, bring order. Let your wisdom be a lamp to their feet and a light to their path. Father, protect their mind. Guard their thoughts from replaying the wound endlessly. Interrupt the cycles of accusation, rumination, and dread. When the enemy tries to make them rehearse the betrayal, remind them that you are the God who judges rightly and sees fully. When the enemy tries to make them imagine worst-case outcomes, speak peace over their inner life. When fear rises in the night, be nearer than their breath. Let them sleep without being tormented by what-ifs. Let them rest without scanning for danger. Let their body learn that it is safe to exhale in your presence. Lord Jesus, protect their heart. Keep it soft, but not gullible. Open, but not unguarded. Compassionate, but not compromised. Let bitterness find no root. Let cynicism lose its hold. Let offense fall away before it hardens into a prison. Heal the places where trust was broken. Teach them how to trust you first, and then how to trust wisely. Let them not project one person's treachery onto every future relationship you send. Restore their capacity to love without fear swallowing the gift. Father, I ask you for courage now. Courage to face the truth without collapsing. Courage to make hard decisions. Courage to set boundaries. Courage to leave what is harmful. Courage to stay faithful in the waiting. Courage to forgive when forgiveness feels impossible. Courage to begin again. Courage to believe that there is still a future worth living for. Courage to walk through the days ahead without surrendering to despair. Let them be brave, not because they are naturally fearless, but because your spirit within them is stronger than the pressure around them. Father, I pray for breakthrough in every area where they have felt blocked. If there has been financial pressure, release provision. Open lawful and honorable doors. Bring favor where favor is needed. Provide wisdom for stewardship. Provide unexpected help. Provide what is necessary without shame and without striving. If there has been bondage in relationships, bring separation from what is destructive and restoration where there is true repentance. If there has been sickness, bring healing, strength, endurance, and wise care. If there has been legal, emotional, or family turmoil, go before them and make crooked paths straight. Let what is hidden be exposed in the right way and at the right time. Father, I pray over their calling. Do not let the delay convince them they were disqualified. Do not let rejection convince them they were forgotten. Do not let the pit convince them they have no future. Stir up the gifts you placed inside them. Rekindle joy in their assignment. Restore the courage to use their voice. Give them back the confidence to move forward. Let them see that what you planted in them is still alive. The enemy could not kill it. The betrayal could not erase it. The silence could not bury it. Bring it forth in your time. Lord, I pray that they would recognize the difference between fear and discernment. Teach them to know when you are warning and when fear is exaggerating. Teach them to know when you are closing a door and when the enemy is just trying to intimidate them. Teach them to know when to wait and when to move. Give them clean spiritual hearing. Give them peace that confirms your voice. Let them not be easily manipulated by appearances. Let truth and fruit be their guide. Father, bless the hidden work you have been doing in them. Bless the tears that became prayer. Bless the nights that became intercession. Bless the silence that became surrender. Bless the waiting that became formation. Bless the wounds you have used as places of encounter. Bless the hard lessons that are now becoming wisdom. Bless the moments when they almost gave up, but did not. Bless their endurance. Bless their obedience. Bless their faith, even if it has felt small. A mustard seed in your hand is enough to move a mountain. Jesus, I ask that you would bring beauty from the ashes of this season. Let the places that felt stripped become places of abundance. Let the places that felt barren become places of fruitfulness. Let the places that were associated with shame become places of testimony. Let their future carry the fragrance of redemption. Let people who knew only part of the story see your hand and stand in awe. Let this become one of those moments where they can say, only God could have done this. Father, for the one who feels too tired to hope, breathe fresh hope into their lungs. For the one who feels numb, awaken holy desire again. For the one who feels angry, bring release and healing. For the one who feels ashamed, bring cleansing and dignity. For the one who feels confused, bring order. For the one who feels like they have lost too much, show them that you are able to restore in ways that exceed what was lost. For the one who cannot imagine joy returning, make joy their portion again. Lord, Let them walk through the coming days with a settled heart. When the truth continues to surface, keep them from panic. When conversations happen that confirm what they suspected, keep them from being overwhelmed. When people's masks fall, keep them from becoming hard. When opportunities open, keep them humble and alert. When answers come, keep them grateful. When the breakthrough shows up, keep them faithful to testify that you did it. Father, I ask for mercy over every place where they have been wounded by words. Heal the memory of harsh criticism. Heal the memory of dismissal. Heal the memory of being compared, minimized, mocked, or ignored. Silence the inner critic that repeats what others said about them. Replace it with the truth of who they are in you. Let them know they are chosen, loved, covered, and called. Let them know they are not too late, not too far, not too damaged, not too hidden from your care. Lord, if there are still hidden things that need to be exposed, do it with grace and precision. Do not let the exposure destroy what is still redeemable. Do not let it arrive too early or too late. Let truth come in the way that best serves your purpose. Where repentance is possible, lead to repentance. Where separation is necessary, make it clean. Where restoration is possible, make it honest. Where justice is needed, let it be righteous. And through it all, keep this beloved one anchored in your love. Father, I pray they would stop measuring their life by the speed of other people's stories. Help them not compare their process with anyone else's timeline. Teach them that the hidden years are not wasted years. The waiting years are not absent years. The slow years are not forgotten years. You are writing a story with layers that only become clear in hindsight. Give them the grace to trust the author while the chapter is still unfolding. And Jesus, I pray over the final remnants of fear. Let them fall. The fear of being left. The fear of not having enough. The fear of being betrayed again. The fear of failing. The fear of the future. The fear of trusting you fully. Let each one loosen now under the authority of your name. Replace it with faith. Replace it with peace. Replace it with confidence in your goodness. Replace it with holy expectancy. My child, I am sealing this word over you with love. What I exposed, I will also heal. What I uncovered, I will also redeem. What I delayed, I prepared. What looked lost is not lost in my hands. What looked impossible is not impossible with me. What felt like the end is becoming a beginning. So lift your head again. Breathe again. Pray again. Believe again. The truth is out, and now I will lead you through what comes next. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are in my hands, and I am faithful to complete what I started in you. Be at peace, my beloved. I am with you, and I will not let go.